Right, let's cross live to former Greek ambassador and diplomat Leonidas Χρυσανθόπουλος. It's nice to have you join me right now. Now, the Cuban foreign minister has condemned the West's increasingly aggressive stance. Now, how do you think ties between Russia and Cuba contribute to the struggle against Western hegemony in the world?
Well, I think it did, dating from the 60s, where we had the Cuban crisis. But I think now that the visit of Sergei Lavrov to Cuba is the best thing that could have happened. I also thought that Russia could have gone to Cuba 1 year earlier, at least, so that the United States can feel a little bit the pressure of having Russia at its borders, as the U.S. is trying to do the same thing with Russia in the Ukraine and trying to expand NATO there. But it's a very good move, and I hope that they continue with military exercises in the area. The United States is continuing making its mistakes, and which is a very bad. It's a very bad thing for the future of humanity, because they do not understand that this may lead to a nuclear confrontation, and the situation is very serious, basically because the Europeans, they lack common sense, and they are in no way to understand the danger that they are putting to the people of Europe. So I think that this visit of Sergei Lavrov and the intensification of relations between Cuba and Russia is going to be beneficial for the world. And I totally agree also with the Cuban foreign minister, who said that we should go ahead and establish a multipolar world.
Now, Russian-Cuban joint military drills are to begin on Tuesday. But how do you assess such exercises held right in America's backyard? What do you think such a move shows?
Well, it's a little bit late. These exercises should have been held last year. And in order that the United States feels exactly what Russia feels when the West wants to expand NATO to Russia's borders. So it's a good taste of their own medicine, what Russia is doing now. And I think it might help the Americans sober up a little bit.
Now, after the U.S. approved arms supplies to the Azov battalion, the Cuban foreign minister backed Russia's position, saying that the West supports neo-Nazi forces. Now, what could this U.S. move lead to, from your assessment?
I think it's another mistake that the Americans are doing. Don't forget that 10 years ago, the Azov group was, I think it was a terrorist, or it was named a terrorist organization by the Americans, and an organization that violates human rights. Nothing has changed since then. It has even deteriorated what the Azov group is doing there. And the United States continues making these mistakes, which bring a big threat to peace in Europe and peace in the world. And I can't understand why they're continuing making these mistakes. And it's about time that the United States and the West understand that they cannot win the war in the Ukraine. It's impossible for them.
Now, what do you make of the timing of the lifting of this ban against the Azov battalion?
It shows how desperate the United States is at a moment when they themselves are understanding that they cannot win this war. And they're doing everything possible to create a very bad situation there. And we must also take into consideration that this big negotiations in Switzerland would start soon in an effort to try to find a way to peacefully resolve the problem in the Ukraine. And of course, Russia has not been invited.
All right, we have to leave it here now. Leonidas Chrisantopoulos, former Greek ambassador and diplomat, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, the meeting between the Cuban